Hello everyone, my name is TheMadScorpyon and welcome to another Destiny 2 video. This time I will be giving you the full detailed list of the variety of exotics coming to you at the Final Shape launch. Now, a lot of these weapons we don't know about the quest, we don't know accessibility, we don't know where they'll exactly be coming from. The armors we can take a gander just because of where armor has come in the past, but the weapons themselves, with the exception of one, are still completely a mystery of how to get them. This is just the details of what they can do now that we have seen the variety of people that have access to the Bungie Final Shape preview. On that note, I am not one of those people, however I will thank them at the end of the video, but getting into it. The Kvastov, of course, every 7th shot will release a ricocheting bonus damage shot. Its main perk is Eyes Up, being that collecting orbs of light strengthen the next several ricochet shots and give more damage and more bounces between targets, which already it seems nifty, but at the same time it is just another auto rifle that has some chain shot ability. However, the leg up it does have is having access to shoot to loot, which will actually work on orbs of power, so being able to buff itself from a distance just by shooting an orb somewhere out in the field is definitely a leg up it has on most other exotics, considering I'm pretty sure this is the first time shoot to loot has been on an exotic in the first place. However, it is just flat out Kvastov, it seems. No catalyst, it does not seem to be modular in any way unlike the original, so it might just be another auto rifle that has a basic set of perks and some nifty ricochets, but from there, that might literally be it. The next one up is the Still Hunt Exotic Sniper. Of course, being solar and the Golden Gun Sniper, its official details have dropped in that it takes either 12 orbs of power or 6 headshots. Kills do not matter, just headshots, and from that point, you can of course charge the Golden Gun. And yes, it does work with Celestial Nighthawk. You can compress the multiple shots into one single shot, which in all purposes seems to be like an 80% shot. It may not power the same punch, but it does pack enough punch to be worth it. At least running this gun and Celestial Nighthawk and Golden Gun all at once. Its main perk in addition to that is that it has passive buffs to target acquisition aimed on sight speed and flinch resistance to make the shots easier, and having a bonus increase to all of those stats during Golden Gun mode, making it so that you can of course land your shots as required. And it does have a buff to its magazine that does make it seem like if you activate this and don't have the ammo for it, as long as you have the super, you do get free ammo to make sure you can shoot out those shots. So it is seeming powerful. Although, again, no catalyst for this one, so it's impossible that this is the full extent of it. However, the full extent of it already seems potent enough that I imagine this might be disabled for World's First, or at least it might be a little bit toned down in comparison and might get another buff later. But of course, that is just speculation, we'll have to wait and see. The speculating that we do not have to do is on Microcosm, which is unique because it is the first of its kind in two ways. Of course, being the first heavy trace rifle and the first heavy kinetic, it seems like, in the existence of Destiny. Excluding, of course, early game Destiny 1, that I believe there was some kinetic heavies that just didn't have damage types because they just didn't. However, its basic perks, it does not have elemental changing like I hoped for, but it does have the anti-shield like proposed, as well getting additional super energy per final blow, and on super ending you do get a period of bonus damage. However, in its performance it does seem to be just another trace rifle. So is it going to be worth it? Is it going to be worth the exotic slot? Is it going to be worth an anti-shield weapon? I don't know. Arbalest seems to still have a leg on it just because it's simple and easy to use and still packs quite the punch in comparison. So yeah, being the Traveler Beam Rifle, it's looking disappointed if I'm honest. And again, no catalyst to work with it, so it's entirely possible it's just that, and it's just going to be another trace rifle that most people don't use. And then the one I am most excited for, the Reformed Red Death, which is the Season Pass exotic, so we'll be able to get access to it quite quickly, and of course does come with the catalyst in addition to its rebrand. It has been reforged as a solar pulse rifle, so it will be in the energy slot, and its final blows grant cure, in addition to increasing reload speeds and curing nearby allies for reloading after final blows. Which already it sounds great just because it can of course pair with solar subclasses, and on Prismatic if you want to go all out damage and have 0 forms of healing, this of course can be an easy heal, because with Lumina you can't heal yourself, you can only heal your allies, but with this one you will be able to get the proper heals and hopefully be more effective than Crimson in PvE. On top of that, it does have a few bonuses all around. When dealing damage with this weapon, you gain increased handling, take reduced flinch, and movement speed is increased for a short time, already making this sound like a Crucible monster. When you are at reduced health, this weapon does deal additional damage. So it's sounding spicy and potent for Crucible, and it just sounds plain good for PvE. Already, I am excited what this thing can do, and of course, having access to a catalyst, it only gets better from there. However, we just have to speculate on what it does, because that is details that we do not have at current. Then getting into exotic armor, starting with the two spiciest ones on Titans, we have Hazardous Propulsion, which precision hits and final blows will have a chance to load a rocket, and you can, of course, launch those rockets using your class ability, up to 6 of them. From that point, dealing damage with said rockets, which are kinetic general damage rockets, which seemed pretty potent in their use, pretty much seeming like just another rocket entirely worth of damage, will also buff rocket launchers in addition. And it does specify any rocket launcher. It does not say not exotic like Gjallarhorn does. So this plus a Gjallarhorn plus a full team of hazardous propulsion rocket-wielding Titans, man, the damage buff potential. And according to the sources, it's possibly around somewhere between a 30 to 35% damage buff at its highest tier. Of course, we don't know how hard it is to fully charge it in a variety of modes or in detail, so it's entirely possible you only get one rocket per random kill, maybe one rocket per every 5 precision kills, but we'll just have to wait and see for the specifics. It's already looking like it's going to be potent, especially for the raid encounters. And speaking of potent, Wishful Ignorance is buffing all of the greatest aspects, I think, of Strand Titan, except for one. Gain additional Frenzied Blade charge. Frenzied Blade and Flechette Storm briefly increase their damage with each consecutive strike, and pulses from Banner of War return melee energy based on allies healed. So already, Banner of War with allies is making this a perpetual melee storm, not to mention 1-2 punch, tractor cannering, and all of the ordeal. Now, there was some buffs and nerfs that were coming out next season, and it seemed like most of the aspects of Banner of War and Frenzied Blade were slightly nerfed, but I have a feeling it was preemptive because this exotic was coming, and it is just covering almost all of the great parts of Strand Titan. If only it gave a buff to Woven Mail or an easy way to access your Woven Mail. But from that point, that is all of the points for Titans. Moving to Warlocks, Meteodoxia is still a bit underwhelming in its full release. So basically it makes it so Arcane Needles hit and will emit suspending bursts on death, regardless of if the Arcane Needle killed the target. And landing multiple Arcane Needles will create a suspending detonation in a larger radius. Defeating suspended targets gives you melee energy, and Arcane Needles are strong against barrier champions. Which, the list of perks is long, but you can still, with the Weaver's Call and that buff for Weaver's Trance, get suspension from any sort of kill, aside from something marked by Arcane Needle. And dumping all 3 of your Arcane Needles into one target to create a suspension burst is very last resort, and I feel very bad unless you have a really good melee recovery build to gain all of your melee charges back. The defeating suspended targets granting melee energy is nifty, but it definitely sounds Titan in design, and I have no idea how powerful Arcane Needle against barrier champions will be. I imagine you might need at least 2, possibly all 3 of them to at least make a difference in endgame barrier content. So it's still looking like Meteodoxia might be the bottom of the list, but there is more to join it in the Hunter section. We'll get to that soon. Continuing with Warlocks, we have the Speaker Sight, which was an unexpectedly unique one. It makes it so that healing grenades spawn a restoration turret. Healing allies occasionally spawns an orb of power, and while ridiculously simple and maybe only 24 words total in its total description, it does seem like it will be a +1 to any healing support Warlocks. Combine that with another Warlock that has the Boots of the Assembler, have one with Lumina, have one with the Edge of Intent, and you have 4 different ways of causing healing on the field, in addition to basic healing grenades. Combine that with a third that is just running the Boots of the Assembler, this one, Lumina, Edge of Intent. You can just cover the field and healing options for your team, especially in endgame. So it's possible that this might just be the healing powerhouse needed to add to the list of options. And with the last 2 Hunter ones, unfortunately the full details on these were a bit of a letdown, Gifted Conviction makes it so that activating Ascension or Tempest Strike will throw bouncing explosives that can jolt and damage them. However, the one silver lining with these is that jolting targets nearby will guarantee you damage resistance, which if there is no limit on what kind of jolt it needs, if it is the Lethal Current jolt, if it is Volt Shot jolt, if it is the Gathering Storm jolt, there could be some potential for a good damage reduction build on Arc Hunters. However, the first part, requiring possibly the two worst of the Hunter aspects, which seem to be underwhelming in performance, it's not looking good for that. The only silver lining would be the jolting, but at the same respect, you would have to give up Liar's Handshake or Assassin's Cowl to make room for the damage reduction, which really might not be worth it in the end. And Balance of Power, mainly PvP focused exotic, but even still doesn't seem that potent in reality, makes so that the Threaded Spectre on Strand Hunter has increased durability, and will release additional threadlings on damage. However, while near the Threaded Spectre, you have no radar signature on other people's radar, which definitely feels PvP focused in general for the exotic. I know Threaded Spectre has some use in PvE. It does have a useful pop and gives hunters another avenue to create threadlings. However, in comparison to Ensnaring Slam, Double Grapple Melee, and Whirlwind Strand Balls, it's really hard to pair up to the variety of other aspects that Strand Hunters have access to. Even if they had access on Prismatic, it just seems quite lacking. But from that point, that is all of the exotics that we have further detail on. And of course, I did not attend this conference. I have to thank Datto and Fallout for multiple screenshots out of their videos. I did not want to rip the footage directly from their videos, just because at that point that feels a little bit thieving. I'm just doing my best to spread the information, as well as spreading the wealth, hopefully getting a few people to check out Datto's full video if you want more expansive details or view gameplay from the final shape. With that, my name is TheMadScorpyon. I will see you in the next video.